Thanks for joining me. I wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about props that I like to use for rolling. So the very first one I'm going to talk about is made by Merrithew Health and Fitness. It is a 12-inch or 30 centimeter stability ball, and you can see that it is a little squishy. And I find this to be a great tool in rolling for supporting the body in different positions, so that you're not transferring the load into the shoulders or having to use your core throughout the entire practice. So it's a great tool to have. I also have a smaller one. And of course, if you found a stability ball that's this, well, on a dock you really have to be careful of not letting your props fall into the water. So any stability ball, you just want it to have a little bit of give, so that when you use it, it compresses to the form of your body. Slow-mo balls do the same thing, and I like to have different sizes because this ball I would often use as a head support in a reclined position during rolling. I'll put that one here too, just to be sure that they don't fall off into the lake that surrounds me. My absolute favorite roller is this one. And again, you'll notice as I play with it that it too has a little bit of squishiness to it. And it's OPTP's Pro Roller. And they have a longer version that's soft as well. I prefer this one just because there's a lot less extra space that I have to manage during my practice. I prefer these softer rolls. I know that there's so many out there with so many different densities, but many people that I know who come to a rolling practice find it to be very sensationful. Some might even say that they begin by it being painful. I recently had some feedback from a class from a student who had been practicing for just 2 or 3 classes. And in the first class I mentioned, oh yeah, you want to get to a level, and you'll hear me say that if you take any of my classes, where it's not painful, but you're thinking, oh yeah, that's the spot. And when she gave me feedback, she said, I thought you were crazy. I never expected that to happen, and yet it did in just a couple of rolling sessions. So if the roller that you have or you're using is very sensationful, if it's got pokey outy things all over it, I'm not saying they're good nor bad. It just, in my experience, when something hurts, we tend not to do it. So we can always change and move up to harder densities as the body becomes conditioned for this type of fascial rolling or self-massage techniques. We have that. The next tool is water. So I always suggest drinking a lot of water when you're rolling. In the same way your massage therapist might ask you to drink water after you have visited with that therapist to help to cleanse and hydrate the tissues. So that is one reason for the larger volumes of water. But as we work through those tissues, especially the ones that tend to be a little bit more tender or holding on to something, as you roll, we literally squeeze out those tissues as the pressure from these props contact the soft tissue of the body. And we press down in the same way we would with a sponge. And as that roller moves to the next position, it is pushing out all the water, and it releases that cell, that group of tissues, and behind it has clean, hydrating fluids to reinvigorate that cell. But the body has to have enough water for that process to happen effectively. So drinking a lot of water before, well, not right before your practice, because you don't want to have a full belly or bladder, but definitely after the practice. If you find after you've been rolling that maybe you feel like you're a little achy, maybe you have a slight headache, or you're thinking your stomach doesn't feel quite right, 9 times out of 10, if you give yourself 1 or 2 nice big glasses of water and feed the body the hydration that it needs, those sensations will dissipate. So, of course, there's many, many other tools, and maybe in a future video we can look at some of those. But instead, I'm going to sign off and thank you for your attendance. Stay tuned. We are about to get to rock, roll, and release.